Hello Carrier Aviation fans, Houndawg joining you again in a vintage aircraft from the early decades of the last 100 years of U.S. Navy carrier aviation. Today is October 28, 1927, and we are flying from the Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida, to an arrested landing and launch on the USS Lexington CV-2. Clear prop.
Radio check. 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1. Radio check. The controls are free and clear. We are cleared for takeoff, and there's no traffic in the pattern. Power coming up, and we are rolling. We are airborne. Now that we are airborne, let's take a moment to recognize another U.S. carrier aircraft that preceded the F-8C Falcon. The F-7C Seahawk was the first aircraft that Curtiss designed expressly for the Navy, rather than a modified Army type. While clearly a descendant of the P-1 Hawk, its wings were constant chord rather than tapered, and the upper wing had a slight sweepback. The engine was a 450 horsepower Pratt & Whitney R1340B Wasp radial. Entirely fabric covered, the top wing was framed with spruce, while the fuselage was built from a combination of aluminum and steel tubing, sufficiently strong to serve as a dive bomber as well as a fighter. The Seahawk could cruise at 150 miles per hour with a service ceiling of 22,000 feet. The Navy prototype XF-7C-1 first flew on 28 February 1927 after some modification demanded by the Navy, such as the wing sweepback. 17 production aircraft F-7C-1 Seahawks were built and entered service with the United States Marine Corps at Quantico, Virginia. In 1930, VF-9M organized the Marines' first aerobatic stunt team, the Red Devils, with F-7Cs featuring red painted noses. The Seahawks continued in service until 1933. Okay, let's get back to the aircraft we are flying today. The Curtiss F-8C Falcon belonged to a family of military biplane aircraft built by the Curtiss Airplane and Motor Company during the 1920s. Most saw service as part of the United States Army Air Corps as observation aircraft with the designations O-1 and O-11, or as the attack aircraft designated the A-3 Falcon. The Falcon XO-1 prototype was evaluated by the United States Army Air Corps along with 11 other prototypes in 1924, and the Douglas XO-2 was declared the winner of that competition. So Curtiss re-engined the prototype with the Packard 1A-1500 engine for the 1925 trials, which it won. The engine failed to live up to expectations, and the aircraft was fitted with the 435 horsepower V12 cylinder Curtiss D12 engine. The U.S. Navy version F8C-1 Falcon was powered by the 420 horsepower Pratt & Whitney R1340 Wasp radial engine. The Falcon was a tandem, two-seat, unequal span biplane design with wooden wings spanning 38 feet and a 27-foot long fuselage with aluminum tubing and steel tie rod bracing. The landing gear was fixed and the tail included a balanced rudder with a rear skid originally, later changed to a tail wheel. The Falcon had a maximum takeoff weight of 4,476 pounds and a maximum speed of 139 miles per hour. It could cruise at 110 miles per hour for a range of 628 miles and a service ceiling of 14,000 feet. It was armed with four 30 caliber M1919 Browning machine guns fired by the pilot and two flexible 30 caliber Lewis machine guns mounted on a scarf ring fired by the rear observer gunner. The aircraft could carry two 116-pound bombs under the wings or one 500-pound bomb under the fuselage. The F8C-1 Falcon began as a shipboard fighter in 1927. The aircraft was later designated OC-1 and OC-2 for Marine Corps use as observation bomber. The F8C-4 Helldiver initially saw service with the Navy as a dive bomber and was transferred in 1931 to the Marine Corps. Two later generations of Curtiss dive bombers would also be named Helldiver. A total of 34 F8Cs redesignated as OTC-1 observation aircraft were also transferred to the Naval Reserve in 1931. Most of the 63 newer F8C-5 Helldivers also served with the Marines, remaining in service until 1936. While the U.S. Army Corps focused on strategic bomber aircraft designs, the U.S. Navy had worked with Curtiss to develop sturdier and robust aircraft to use as dive bombers to meet the need for anti-ship tactics. It is noteworthy that the Curtiss dive bombers F8C-4 Helldiver and the F-11C Goshawk were observed and evaluated by the German military in their development of the Junkers Ju-87 Stuka dive bomber and Blitzkrieg air attack tactics. The F-8C Helldiver was featured in multiple Hollywood films including Flight in 1929 and Helldivers in 1932.